Hello and welcome to day 8. Today you're going to learn about pins. Now, pins are very similar to skewers. So I'm just going to show you what a pin is. Let's just do a couple random moves. Okay, so this is a pin. Let's say it's, okay, let's just do another move. So this is a pin. The knight cannot move. As you can see, it's black to move, but even so, black cannot move. Because if, let's say, black moves like, I don't know, here, then yeah, it's in check. So that's basically what a pin is. Pin is mainly to restrict movement of a piece because like they're lined up in a line from like because the bishop um moves diagonally and the knights the knight and the king is lined up with the bishop. So this is a pin. Let me show you another example of what a pin is, just to make sure. Um, let's say, all right. So this is white to move. It's got. Let's just put him next to rook. Anyways, so here's another example of a pin. This is a pin. Oh god, that's super laggy. Now this is a pin. Now notice how the queen is only like restricted to only moving on the E file, as you can see. Um, because the queen cannot go anywhere else. It literally cannot move anywhere else. Otherwise, it'll get checked by the king. So, yeah, that's another example of a pin. And as you notice, like the most valued piece, as you can see, let's just go back to this position. Like the most valued piece is like normally at the bottom of the pin, while like the piece that is like in front is normally like the lower piece because this one is like worth 3 points, this one's worth infinity, so it has no point value because it's important. Let me just show you another example, just to make sure of that, of a pin. So let's just say here, here, let's just do some classical moves. In this example, black can move the knight. It's not like restricted unlike, the king and the knight here. So, but what's different is if you move the knight, you will lose a lot of material because if you move the knight, I'll just capture the queen. This is another example of a pin. So normally, yeah, and you've lost a bunch of material and there's nothing you can do. So pins are normally, well, it doesn't have to be the king. Kings, you can pin like a piece to the king as well, but you can also pin other pieces too. Like, let me show you an example. Let's just do a bishop, because why not? Classic. All right, so this is black to move. Okay. Now, if black moves, okay, so let's just say, let me just create some random moves. Um, So if black were to move the bishop, let's say right here, yeah, like the rook's getting captured, and as you can see, the bishop is pinned by the rook, and if you move the bishop, you'll lose the rook. So it's not always the king. Like for like kings, if it's like pinned to the king, let's say earlier on you saw the bishop pinned to the knight and king. That would be called an absolute pin, which is where there's no way you could move. And for like this example, this is called a relative pin because I mean you can still move, but if you move, you'll lose a bunch of material, just like that. So know the difference between those two. Absolute, like you can't move the piece at all, and two, Relative pin is where if you move, you lose a bunch of material. So, oh, yeah, like, I meant like this. So, yeah, that's what a pin is. Now let's do a couple puzzles that also requires pins. Let's just... How do I want to shape this? Actually, let's just add a couple pieces here and there. Let's say black has an extra rook. The king's put right here, and it's black to move. Maybe include a bit of pawns here and whoops, pawns here and there. All right, so now this is an example of a puzzle. All right, so find a move that manages to win material, and feel free to pause this video. Take as much time as you need. All right, so if you found this, you are correct. Now, the reason why this is correct is like I know some of you are like, bro, like, won't that pawn just take the queen? You just lost a bunch of material. However, if you saw this rook pinning the white pawn, then congratulations, because like the pawn's pinned, right? If you capture it, well, if you capture it, yeah, you'll get checked. So the pawn cannot move. I mean, not move. It still has a legal square, but it cannot capture the black queen. And there you have it. You've gained a bunch of material. Let's just show you a typical scenario. I'm thinking on how to put this way. All right, so castled, knights. Everyone's castled, so actually, let's just do a couple random moves. You wouldn't get the position like this. This is highly unlikely unless if you were how do I, oh no, I don't want to capture this. Let's put the bishop right here. Okay, so this is white white to move. Can you find a way to gain material? Feel free to pause this video. Take as much time as you need. Okay, so here is the solution. Now, remember this. The bishop is lining up, the pawn and king. This is a pin, right? This is an absolute pin, right? So the pawn cannot move, otherwise his king would get in check. So if you notice that, you'd probably seen rook takes b6. Remember, the pawn can't capture because yeah, the king's in check. And if you saw that, then congratulations, because I don't expect a lot of people solving this, especially at a beginner's level. But I would love to see some people prove me wrong here. So, and if you didn't find it, that's okay. Remember that it takes time to develop pins, and the more games you play, the more experience you have, the more better you are to understand like pins, not just pins, but skewers, forks, and all of that stuff. So don't get discouraged and keep on going. Anyways, let's do one last one. This one's pretty interesting. So let me just set up the board real quick. All right, so this is not a puzzle, but it's something I want you to be aware of, because it will likely happen since beginner. Well, it's something to be aware of. I'm just saying that. Anyways, yeah, goodbye this, goodbye that. All right, so This wouldn't happen in a real game, but all right. So normally, people would do something. I don't know why I put the queen here. Let's just say the queen was right, like right here. Okay, forget about it. Now, normally, like the queen could, take right here, but for purposes only, we're just gonna show you like pin. So notice how this pawn is getting pinned. Look, look at the queen's position. It's pinning the pawn and king. So let's remember, pretend this queen's like d7. So white played bishop h6, and the thing is, you can't take like that because it's pinned. It's something to be aware of. Now, if black was aware, he would probably do something like this, or if he was like in here, he would probably or if like the queen was like, let's say, not right. Well, the queen will probably like protect like here. And it's important to defend this because you'll see because when I was a beginner, a lot of people would typically do this, and it's important trap to remember because I've fallen for it, and it's not very cool at all for me. So you would see a lot of beginners taking advantage of this pin. Now, normally, in order to save, let's say this queen wasn't right here, there's no other piece to defend this square, and you're getting threatened to be maten. Normally, this is the only winning move, and then, the bishop just takes. So that's something to be aware of when you're playing. If this ever happens to you, always try, if you're like, well, let's just say if, like, your opponent's about to, like, line up, you see your opponent lining up, pinning your G pawn. There might be a good chance that your opponent might play something like Bishop H6, just attacking it. And there's actually two pins. It's actually here and here. That's why it's so important to know, because if you move, that's a relative pin, right? Whoops, that's a relative pin, right? So, and this one is, well, it's kind of like an absolute pin because if you take it, you just get checked. So that's something to be aware of. If this happens to you, just make sure to just protect the thing, protect the G pawn, and that's it. That's all the information on pins. So you can click here to go to the next video, or you can click here to view the entire playlist. Now, I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you've been enjoying these videos so far.